Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jadisola. I know for people that are my returning subscribers, you might be wondering what angle are you looking at me from today. It's because I'm in my kitchen today. It's a Sunday and I'm sort of like meal prepping. I started this fish diet and I'm trying to just prep it for at least maybe 2 days so that I'll just bring it out from the microwave and warm it up. Anyways, so I'll show you what it is like when I'm done. However, so today we are going to be talking about what I do as a product manager. I know that a lot of people know the role in terms of the name, but not a lot of people know exactly what product managers do. To be fair, like I think with every organization there is a different they run their product team very differently, and also depending on the industry as well, you may be required to have certain kind of skills or maybe the type of product manager that you are. So I think just to give like a brief background, right? I've always been in product management, even when I didn't know that what I was doing was product management. But I think the first time I ever had the title of a product manager as part of my role was maybe back in 2014. So that's been like a long time, right? And one of the things that I was doing then was just creating new lending products around everyday needs of consumers. So I was working at the bank at the time and we used to give consumer loans. So part of my job was to sort of like, create different products for the different needs that customers were borrowing money for. And it could just be around anything. And one of the things that I was trying to do then was to try and make sure that every product that I'm creating has a unique feature that sort of like spells out what needs to be done to be able to access that type of consumer credit. So for example, let's say there was I was creating a product for a school fees payment. I want to be able to see, okay, what are the things that I would need apart from the regular financial documents like bank statements. I was also trying to make sure that maybe, do we need the school invoice? Do we want to pay for the whole session? Do we want to pay for a single term? Do we want to pay per child? Those kind of things. Anyway, so that was sort of like my journey, into product management, and I did that for a couple of years. And eventually, when I had my own startup, so I was also not just the founder, but also the head of product. So I was seeing like the end-to-end of all of the products that I was sort of like working on within my company. But on the side as well, as part of what I was doing, I was also helping startups as well, who were coming up with their own products in a way that I was helping them to shape their products. So I was sort of like, that outsourced product manager, helping startups to come up with new product ideas, and also even working with some of their developers and designers to make sure that the products come to life. Anyways, if you haven't picked what a product manager does from everything I've been saying, then I'm just going to try and explain it in my own words. Now, what you find out there, and this is quite controversial, is that you will see that some people will say that a product manager is the CEO of the product. Let's say that you're not there, right? Well, I think what a product manager does is you're like responsible for making sure that the product is built. You're orchestrating from, when the idea comes out newly to when it goes to market. That's basically what you're doing. And depending on the type of product manager that you are, you may require like different skills. So you may be a technical product manager where they actually require you to understand coding, and you may be, a regular product manager where you're not required to understand coding. However, certain industries may require their product managers to have domain knowledge. So if for example, if it's an e-commerce company, they might specifically say, oh, they want someone who has the experience in building e-commerce products, right? So others may not care as long as you understand the fundamentals of product management. They don't care whether or not you have that domain knowledge, as long as you can make sure that, you know, the product is built. So that's sort of like the overview of, you know, product management. But why are they important? Okay, now this is the interesting part, right? So I've said it, you know, earlier, like a product manager, depending on your role, you might be responsible for, you know, coming up with new features for a brand or for a product. And when I'm even saying like coming up with new features, you could be like, say for example, you could be, let's say you're working at Netflix, for example, and this is me just, I don't know if there are product managers for, you know, for that within Netflix, right? So for example, you know, when you're watching your Netflix, right, you see top 10 movies in your area, right? There may be a product manager that has come up with that feature or that monitors that feature, making sure that as consumers are watching all these contents in these areas, they are looking at, oh, which are the ones that people are really watching, and then they are monitoring that, right? They are also coming up with new ways of making sure that people engage with those top 10 contents, right? Sometimes you will see that the thumbnail, which is like the image you see on a particular movie title, right? It changes, right? Because somebody is monitoring and saying, hey, you know what, when we put the face of, for example, Will Smith on the front page, on the thumbnail of this movie, a lot of people were clicking on it. Oh, let's try and see what it's going to look like if it's Wesley Snipes, right? That is also in the movie. So they will try out different things to make sure that they optimize engagement with that content. That's one of the things that a product manager does. So right now I'm working in a fintech company, and they specialize in credit cards solutions and stuff. And I'm working on a greenfield product, which means that, you know, it's a brand new product we're building from scratch, and there's a lot of like unknown areas and stuff. I'm also not working on the customer facing side of the product, so it's more like the back end, right, of what drives some of the interfaces that customers would interact with. So as part of my day to day, I spend my day basically, you know, creating the requirements for the developers. I work closely with them. I'm responsible for making sure that they understand what we need to deliver. But before then, I also work with business analysts, and I participate in things like research, because if you're building something from scratch, sometimes you have to reference an existing thing, right? To maybe when you want to pattern that, you know, around that, or maybe you want to understand the problems that is currently, or the problem that currently exists within that space, right? So I spend some time understanding similar platforms here in the UK and within the organization as well. Then I also participate in things like sprint planning, where we try to prepare for, you know, like the work that we're going to need to deliver within like 2 weeks. Another thing that I do is I facilitate discovery sessions, which is when we are starting out a new initiative. So for example, let's say I'm working in WhatsApp, right? And then I am a product manager on WhatsApp Web. And I'm thinking, oh, right now, multiple people can call on WhatsApp at the same time on WhatsApp mobile. And we want to introduce that same feature to WhatsApp Web, right? So part of what I'm going to be doing is making sure that I've done my research. I understand exactly what I want to do with that particular feature. Do I want to make it like a Zoom where, beyond just people connecting, that I want to have a situation whereby it can be used in a professional setting as well, where people cannot just have your number and just come into the call. All those kind of things, right, are things that I may be thinking about. And when I'm ready to, take that product to the developers, I need to do a discovery session where I am telling the developers about the product for the first time and just making sure that they understand exactly what we're trying to deliver, and then we are all on the same page. So usually discovery sessions are like that. So in addition to that, I'm also part of like refinement sessions. Some people will call it grooming sessions, where we put our requirements as stories, and we have to go through that together with the developers as well, just to make sure that everyone is clear in terms of what needs to be delivered for that feature. So I'm saying a lot of developers and developers and developers. There's also the part of even these requirements, I'm not coming up with them on my own, right? I've got stakeholders, and this gets very interesting. See, if you don't like dealing with people, this role may not just be for you, because stakeholder management is one of the things that is important for you as a product manager to be able to do. Now, things don't always go smoothly, and sometimes things fall apart, and there's sometimes that some people may feel like they are more important in the building of the solution that you're working on, and then their voice should be heard. Or they want to introduce something that maybe you did not even plan to do originally, and then they want it done. So how do you manage everyone's expectation to make sure that the ultimate goal of the product that you're trying to build is still met? For some people, you may have to bow to what they want. For some people, you may have to compromise and say, hey, you know what, or negotiate rather, we'll do this sprint, right? We can only take this much this sprint, but the next sprint we'll be able to look at it fully and then build what you want, or maybe we'll look at that in the next quarter. Sometimes you have to negotiate and manage relationships. One of the things that you also have to do is to make sure that you shield your developers from lack of a better word, bullshit. You want your developers to focus more on what they need to do, and then you are like the nexus between the stakeholders, the business, the customers, and the development team. You want to make sure that you are making sure that the team is good at every point in time, because when the spirit of the team is down, it's going to eventually impact what you're working on. So basically, that's what I do in my role. If you're considering a career in product management, there's so many ways for you to break into product management. Now, I broke into product management from business development, originally from the bank, and my first product management role required that I had domain knowledge, which was how I broke into product management, in general. And you can also do the same. You can think of something that you currently are good at, and maybe you're thinking you want to see how you can break into a product management role within that space, right? So you already have the domain knowledge. Another thing you can also do is, if you can work on a product on your own, you can also gain that experience of managing the development of a product from start to finish. Another thing you can also try is to see if you can maybe take product internship roles. So another thing you can do is try to see if you can get some internship roles. Now, I know that some of the big tech companies, they do have programs. They're called APM, programs, so associate product manager programs, where you would go into the program for about a year or two, and then you will try your hands in different things, and then eventually become a full-time product manager within the company, or at least gain the required experience that you need in order to break into the industry. Another thing you can try to do is take some online courses if it's something that you think you need. There's so many courses online that help people to break into product management, and you can start to get familiar with so many of the ceremonies that a product manager will have to be a part of, as well as even the terminologies and what a lot of them mean. And eventually, just some of them have practicals where you may be able to have like hands-on experience. A lot of them are just like maybe theoretical as well. There's product school, which is like one of the popular ones. They have a lot of content here on YouTube as well that you can leverage on and just watch. Lastly, I would say if you do your research and you think that is something you can actually try your hands on, I think you can legitimately start to apply for roles that you think you may fit in, and then see. You never can tell, you might even be ready before you think you are, and you may be able to break into some of these product management roles just by looking at the job vacancy, the job description, applying for it, and then see if they call you. In a nutshell, that is what I do, and this is how you can also break into product management. My food is almost ready, so I'll show it to you in a bit. Just look at this. It is so good. Woo-hoo-hoo. Look at this. Lunch is served, ready to eat. So if you've enjoyed this content, make sure you like, subscribe, and share with your loved ones, and I will see you next time. Bye.